UConn takes on Illinois in the Elite Eight, and I'm going to go through some of the film of some of the key themes that I think will pop up during this game. So the first thing I want to talk about is UConn's rim defense, because it is one of, if not the best in the country. UConn allows shots at the rim. Teams still try down there, but they don't find much success. UConn is in the 99th percentile for rim defense, and a lot of it is attributed to Donovan Clingan. And just basically what he can do down there, being able to move and then also still defend the rim is just so good. One of the best, if not the best, in the entire country. So here, Marquette's going to flow into a handoff. Clingan's going to be in his normal kind of drop coverage on anything like that. And so you see here, he's in a fairly deep drop. He does a good job making sure that the roller stays in front. And so there's space, and the ball handler is going to try to eat up this space, but Clingan just moves so well. And so right here, that's going to be a super hard contest every time. And Clingan just does such a great job of being able to rotate over and also time up his shots, like time up his block shots ability and just being able to affect shots like that. Now, it'll be interesting because Clingan is one of the best rim protectors in the country, but on Illinois, Terrence Shannon is one of the best guards at getting downhill, getting to the rim in the country. A lot of it is in transition, where he'll just blow by 3 to 4 guys and get to the rim, so UConn is going to have to be on point there, or it'll be also a good way for Illinois to get good looks. But in the half court, Illinois hasn't run this like an insane amount, but it is one of their plays that kind of pops up a lot. And we'll dive in a little bit more into Illinois' offense and how they just kind of attack individual matchups. But this staggered pin down is something that they'll go to a lot for Terrence Shannon. And so as he comes off, you're going to see the defenders are going to be trailing here. And so Shannon's just going to catch, and now he's going to go. He has the big kind of engaged up here. You can see Clingan maybe be a step or two lower. And Shannon will shoot it if he's open. But what Shannon really wants to do is just catch and rip. And so now you have one of the most physical guards in the entire country, one of the most explosive guards getting downhill against one of the best rim protectors in Clingan. That's going to be a pretty fun matchup. Now, when we talk about UConn's offense, there is so many things that they do well, and we'll dive into a few of them. But one of the things that just stands out to me the most is their cutting ability. UConn, we all know that they run some elaborate sets, but they also have a bunch of freedom within those sets, and they can just make read and react plays. And Alex Karaban is one of the guys that does that probably the best out of anybody. And so here, it was a sideline out of bounds play. Karaban is number 11 right here. So he sets kind of that 45 screen for a cutter here. And now he's going to go set a pin down. And this is normal UConn action where they'll get into this zoom action, which is a pin down into a handoff. But if Karaban reads his defender, which he kind of can feel out here, then he can just slip. And you see UConn, both guys slip it here actually, just because both are able to read their defenders and go back door. And now, you can see with that cutter going through first, Karaban's going to catch it, and now he has a wide open layup. And so at times defensively, Illinois hasn't been bad this season, but they've definitely not been up to what previous seasons have been defensively. And some of it is just kind of on-ball stuff. Some of it's off-ball stuff. And you're going to see a play right here where it's just kind of not noticing what's going on. So Illinois, in general, isn't going to provide like an insane amount of help in the paint or at the rim. And they're going to kind of stick to shooters. Now you're going to see Iowa here. They just set a simple back screen. And Shannon doesn't really see it coming at all until it's too late. Now he's trying to go over. It's already going to be a step or two behind. Rogers, he's also now just engaged on the ball right here. He isn't going to see the back screen. There's going to be not much help at the rim, and that's one of the ways that this Illinois defense can be exploited a little bit. So now, next I want to kind of spend time on pick and roll, both offense and defense, kind of for both sides. And neither team runs it maybe the most out of anybody in the country, but both will go to it a lot. And just in today's NBA or college world, it's just what's run. There's pick and rolls all the time. And so we're going to look at kind of how it's played out for both sides, and starting with the UConn on offense. So you're going to see here, this is going to be kind of a drag screen, and UConn will flow into this. This time it is an empty pick and roll, nobody in the corner. And so as it comes off, Tristan Newton comes off right here. He very much can just drive and get to the rim. But what I want to point out is just Clingan's a very, very effective roller. It isn't something they hit all the time, but he's just very good at it. And part of it is because of Newton being able to get downhill and actually draw in Kalkbrenner like he does here. And we're going to go over Illinois' defense in just a second, which is something similar to this. But now, Clingan he does a good job, I think, timing it and sticking with the ball handler as he drops down. And so then he can get a lot of open looks like that. And so now when we look at Illinois' defense here, you're going to see Hawkins, similar to Clingan, in a deep drop. And so as the ball handler comes off, he's going to engage Hawkins. And Illinois doesn't provide a ton of help on the roll or anything like that in general. They kind of leave this as a two-man game. But if Hawkins is engaged like this, like we just saw Klingen's defender was in the last play, that's where this drop-off can come. And Iowa does a great job here getting it to Freeman, and then there's just not much help at the rim. So now there's a lot of options out of pick and roll for UConn, and I'm not going to be able to go over all of them, but one other thing I do want to point out is, again, Karaban. So in this case, he's used as a small ball 5 kind of, but he can also do this kind of as the 4. And so UConn goes for a double screen right here at the top, and Karaban's just going to slip out. And sometimes he'll just ghost it, meaning he doesn't make any contact at all. Sometimes he's just going to slip out and pop out to the top of the key. And basically, if you aren't on point defensively with your switching and what you kind of want to do, because Karaban can play the 4, then he's going to get open looks like this, and he's a very, very good shooter. He's going to knock those down a lot. And now in general, this is going to be what Illinois' pick and roll defense is. And so ball screen up top, and Hawkins is just going to be in a very, very deep drop. He's going to always be anywhere here or even below. And just basically what they want is to force the ball handler into these pull-up jumpers. Sometimes it's going to be 15 feet. Sometimes it's closer to 8, 10 feet like here. But that's what it's going to be. Not going to provide a ton of help from kind of these perimeter players in general. And you're just going to kind of live with the jumpers is Illinois' philosophy. So now when we go to what UConn does defensively against the pick and roll, a lot of it starts with Klingen, and we're going to start with him. So there's a screen up at top, and Klingen, he's going to be in drop coverage. So that means he's going to keep the ball handler and the roller in front of him, similar to what Illinois does, and he's just going to help protect the rim. Now, when the other big, Samson Johnson, is in, he'll be one that can hedge out or be at the level and give a little bit of a different look defensively. But then from there, a lot of the same principles do apply. So with Klingen kind of in this drop coverage, one thing is guys can dribble into him and try to get downhill, because they do. UConn doesn't allow like very few. They allow like an average amount of shots at the rim, right? They aren't one that just completely takes away the rim. But what they do have is Klingen, who can time really well, and he can get back down. And now this is where he can time up the shot, use his length, and just make it hard for shots to go up, while also allowing guards to be able to get back and help. And now other times you'll see where Klingen does such a good job in covering the pick and roll that the low man right here doesn't even have to come over. And that's how UConn helps prevent a lot of three-point attempts. But Klingen is just so good in that drop coverage. And this is where it gets interesting for Illinois on the offensive side, is that they have 2 different guys that run a lot of pick and rolls in Damask and Terrence Shannon, and they do it in much different ways. So we're going to start with Terrence Shannon here. As he gets the ball up at the top, screen's going to happen. And basically all Terrence Shannon is looking to do is just get downhill as fast as possible. And now UConn's going to be in a drop coverage, right? Not like what is shown here. But it really doesn't matter what coverage it is. Shannon is going to eat up space. And so when we think to UConn with Klingen, he's going to be giving up a little bit of space because he knows how elite he is protecting the rim. But if there's space, Terrence Shannon's going to eat it up. And he's probably also going to get fouled. He gets fouled a ton driving to the rim, both in transition, but then also in the half court like this. And sometimes that's kind of the only way you can stop him is foul him. And so it'll be interesting to see how that matches up as well. So, right, when we talk about Terrence Shannon, it is explosive, get downhill as fast as you can. I'm going to attack the rim and put pressure on the defense. Then there's also Marcus Damask. And so as he comes off the screen, he's never going to explode downhill. He's never really going to get by the defense, but he's just going to work at his pace right there. And so he's just going to try to keep the defender on his hip and basically take whatever the defense gives him. If it's a little 10-foot floater, he'll take it. If he has to turn into a post-up and booty ball, which we'll talk about later in the video, he's fine. Or if he can kind of just get all the way to the rim by doing it at his pace, his speed, he can do that as well. Another big aspect of UConn's offense is their ability to shoot off screens, and especially Cam Spencer. We're going to go through a couple looks here, just how UConn's able to utilize off-ball screens. So this is going to start with chin action. It's just kind of a back screen at the elbow for a guard. And then from there, it's going to flow. Like Spencer has a lot of options. This time it's just going to flow into a simple pin down from Klingen. And so not much to it, right? But it is very, very effective because from the start, Spencer's the one that kind of has the advantage. They force the switch, and now he's able to go out. Once he sees this defender go over the top a little bit, he's just going to flare back out towards over here. And once that happens, he gets a wide open 3. One of the best shooters in the country isn't going to miss that much. And so this is a really fun set right here from UConn. It is going to start with a stagger pin down for Spencer to come off. He's going to flow into ghosting a ball screen up here, so he's not actually going to make any contact. Then they're going to flow into another screen. And now after all of that, that's just going to set up flex action. So flex action, Spencer's going to come through. He's going to set like a cross screen down low, and then he's going to come and get a pin down. And so all of this is just misdirection and just keeping Cam Spencer's defender moving. So now he's setting the cross screen, and now a pin down is coming. And you saw right there, the defender right here, he does a complete 360. And that's all that UConn needs, just a little bit of space. And now Cam Spencer is going to be flying off of that screen, gets a wide open three, or a pretty good looking three, and he's going to drill it. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what booty ball is for Illinois, this is probably the best example of it. So Marcus Domask here, he's going to get it, and you're going to see, he is posting up legitimately 30 plus feet away from the rim. This is the start of his post up right here. And this is an exaggeration. Not most times he tries to catch it kind of in this area right here. But if he has a smaller defender on him, he'll do it. Now he gets the repost here, and this is where he'll generally catch the ball more. And if you leave him one-on-one, he's just going to get to the rim. He also has a good post-fade game. And then the other thing is, and we'll show if UConn does double next, if they do double, he has the ability to pass out. But at the end of the day, Illinois, a lot of their offense is just built on attacking matchups. And in the half court, it's Domask going booty ball and just backing his defender down. Now in transition, it's going to be Terrence Shannon just attacking the rim. So going to be interesting to see what UConn does. So now, how does UConn defend the post? And for a large part of the year, they've stayed single coverage, and especially against big men. They haven't played too many guards that'll post up, so it's hard for me to say for sure what I think one way or another, whether they double or not. But what I can show is that although they do single coverage most of the time, they've shown that when they do double, it's been pretty consistent. And so what happens is, as the ball goes in the post, it's going to be one of these two weak side wings. And they're just basically going to angle it like a 45 degrees and just come down and double and rotate. So they're never going to, from what I've seen, they aren't going to double strong side off the ball. They also are not going to double baseline. It's going to be one of these weak side guards. They're going to be the one that comes down and doubles here, gets rid of the ball, and then they'll just rotate back out from there. And you can see, two guys fly out to be able to contest that one.